We've all heard how awful it's been in Texas for the last week. Ted Cruz did leave for a little bit, but he did come back. The winter storms, though, there have been devastating. And as much as the conversation needs to focus on, now that people are out of danger, fixing the problems that caused this, there's another wrinkle to this whole situation that isn't getting the attention I think it deserves. And that's those giant electricity bills. One woman received a $5,500 electricity bill, even though she'd set the thermostat to 45 degrees to keep her pipes from freezing and was basically cowering in a single room with a space heater and a coffee machine. Texas has almost a completely unregulated electricity market. A retail company that sells power can't also own the power plants that generate the power. However, owning a company that owns power plants and a company that sells power is perfectly fine. In 2017 or so, there was a new innovation in kind of the retail market. They decided that they could make things cheaper for their customers by just passing along the wholesale price of electricity and charging a flat $10 subscription fee. Users would pay for the power that they used at the market rate when they used it. The cost of these plans was generally cheaper than the long-term fixed rate contracts offered by most power companies. Right now, the governor of Texas is flailing around going, who caused these high prices? How did this happen? Thing is, it's not hard to figure out. There's a group called the Public Utility Commission of Texas. It's a 3-member panel appointed by the governor. The board of ERCOT is appointed by the Public Utility Commission, who is appointed by the governor. ERCOT sets the spot commodity price for power. On the 15th, the Public Utility Commission exercised its complete authority over ERCOT to unilaterally set the price of power to its market cap of $9,000 per megawatt hour. The price of power has spiked to close to this number in the past because there was a 111-degree heat wave and everyone was using their AC system. At that time, it only hit that $9,000 cap a few times over a couple hours. When the Public Utility Commission set that price to $9,000, it stayed there for almost 4 days. This represented a 10,000 to 18,000% increase in the price of power. That's how that happened. It was commanded by the Public Utility Commission, appointed by the governor, who's now asking how that happened. The better question in this case isn't how it happened, it's why the governor of Texas is pretending that he doesn't know. There are conclusions that might be easy to make from the facts available, but this isn't a conspiracy channel, so I'm not necessarily going to make them. The thing is, the governor of Texas received millions and millions of dollars from the natural gas industry over the last few years for campaigns. It shouldn't be surprising to anyone why that person then turns around and tries to demonize wind for the disaster that just happened. But it's not just the wind industry that might threaten big power companies in Texas who own both power generation companies and retail sales companies. If your retail competition figures out a way to pass along cheap wholesale prices directly to customers, that cuts into your bottom line. All the work and the research and the environmental deregulation that you fund in order to make your generation of power cheaper, you do that to make bigger profits when you then turn around and sell that power from your retail company. If another company is just passing along that wholesale price directly to customers, your retail company looks bad for their markup, and all the work you did to make that wholesale price lower, they get the benefit of that, and you don't get to double dip. So those guys gotta go. Well, they're about to. If you're a retail power company in Texas that passes along wholesale prices to consumers, you have to pay for that power up front-ish. There's some complicated formula they use based on the projected use for the next few days. There's a portion of what that price would probably be that the company puts down as a down payment. And then when they sell the power on to their consumers and the consumers pay them, they pay off the rest of it. Meanwhile, they collect their monthly fee. They don't make any profit from the sale of the electricity itself. So when ERCOT's projections for power use and prices were one thing, and those wholesale companies paid the power generation companies, say, $400,000 for X amount of power, and then the PUC randomly decides that the price of power should be $9,000 per megawatt hour, suddenly the power that your distribution company used from the power generation company cost $6 million. And your wholesale company owes that money. Typically, you'd wait for your subscribers to pay, but they're not going to pay anywhere from a $500,000 to a $17,000 power bill. In fact, the PUC and the governor of Texas said, you can't even send them an invoice. Don't worry about it, citizens who've had this bill passed on to you. Meanwhile, those wholesale retail companies are screwed. The two largest power companies in Texas account for about 70% of the market on their own. With what's happening right now, these companies that were newcomer market innovators in 2017 that passed along wholesale rates to the customer are gonna be gone. The power generation companies, who they now owe super giant amounts of money to, are either going to just watch them fail or offer to forgive that debt in order for a majority stake in their company. We're about to see huge market consolidation in the power market in Texas. The eradication of this specific type of company might not have been the point of setting the megawatt price at $9,000 by the PUC arbitrarily, but it's certainly going to be the effect.